Welcome to episode 115 of Broad Street Hustle. We got a special episode for you tonight. We will not be debating, talking sports, talking Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, basketball. We're going to do trivia. We've been saying we're going to do it. We're going to do trivia. So what we did, we created a format it pits contestants with some sports knowledge deep down in their brain against each other, where we throw out a question that has multiple answers. One by one, our contestants are going to go give an answer. Be rewarded a point for each correct answer. With an incorrect answer, they were out for that round. Obviously, we're going to do most points at the end of 8 rounds. We'll advance to our championship round, which will consist of 2 more questions, head-to-head. That's pretty much all I could think of is how the format. You'll see how we go. We got all the sports included here. Full disclaimer, I did not come up with these questions. I was given these questions by one of our executive producers of the show, Walt, who you may remember has very poor technical issues and was supposed to be hosting this episode, but due to technical issues, he was unable to host. So he did come up with them. They look good to me on paper. I did not fact check these, so God knows if they're
do that.
No offense to Walt, Hooked on Phonics is a program that is very good. Might help a little bit with spelling. Philly has 2 L's in it, Phillies, just so you know. But yeah, so let's go around the room. We have our contestants, which are going to be sound familiar to the audience. We got our morning line favorite. He's listed at 5-2, Jason Sayetta.
What's up, Tom?
Jason, how are you? Coming in as our second choice, listed at 4-1, is Jimmy the Chaw.
I'm not sure there's a lot of value there, but we'll see what happens.
And our long shot, only 9-2, but he is the underdog for today's contest, Christopher Michael Meeker.
I'll preface this contest by saying I was offered bribes by the person that contrived these questions to join his fantasy league, and he would give me some of the questions prior to the show. I would not stoop to that level. So I do trust, Tommy, that you have kept these questions under lock and key, even though you are related to one of our co-hosts.
Yeah.
They have not been divulged to anybody. I will be asking to see hands as the episode goes through. Those on YouTube, if you're watching and you see, it's kind of the golf rules. If you see it, report. It's a self-reporting where they can be penalized after the fact. The official result will not be given out until next week until they can be verified for no nefarious cheating here.
I'd like to say right now, though, Meeker's stance currently would be like a warning.
So Meeker's over the line of scrimmage right now.
Yes.
I told him
flag.
your helmet's over the lines.
Yeah.
I mean,
in fact, he's gonna.
But let's be honest. If Meeker sits as close as he was, I'm going to blow up the reflection off those Coke bottle glasses of him, and we'll have to see what he's looking at afterwards.
I mean, if cheating, I still would have him at 9-2 underdog.
Well, I mean, I might be the long shot here because I'm up against 2 guys that are quite significantly older than I am, so they have a lot more experience and have seen some of these things, whereas I might have read about them on the internet years later or something like that. So I'm at disadvantage, but we're going to give it the old college try and see how it goes.
For the record, I actually have Chalky. If I were setting these lines, and I did not set the lines because if you actually add them up, they don't equal any number that Vegas would ever put out there. But I would have had Chalky as the favorite, honestly. I mean, Chalky's very poor with his debate skills and a lot of knowledge around sports, but he is knowledgeable when it comes to trivia. This is his wheelhouse. And I was not allowed to be in it because I was busy, making out with girls and not watching as much sports as these guys were. So I didn't get to participate. I will have my reading glasses on for this so I don't make a mistake. Again, we're going to throw out a question. We're going to go around the horn. I probably should have figured out who went first for each one. What we're going to do is strictly just go in, order of Jason first, next round Jimmy first. We do have certain questions that we have to cover with a specific order. It'll flow. You won't worry about it. And one by one, contestants will give their answers. A wrong answer, you're out. A repetitive answer, you're also out. We have a 15-second unofficial clock that we'll kind of keep. I mean, we know if you're taking long, we'll all call you out.
Is there any disengagements in this 15 seconds? We call timeout.
No.
No time.
Give us 15 seconds.
No, no
one
timeout.
one time. Maybe in the championship, we'll give one timeout.
And I'll probably jinx myself now. If your internet goes down, you're out until you get connected.
Yeah, it's true, because then you can't be trusted.
Yeah. We'll cross all those bridges as we go. Let's see. I probably should have done a little more of the writing down prior to this. But I'm gonna save these two for the championship here. And then I'll try to bounce it around so I'm not just doing baseball. We have 3 baseball, we have 2 NHL, we have 3 NFL, and we have 2 NBA. So I'll try to bounce it around so it kind of it's not all baseball, all basketball, etc. So we'll start with the first one I got. If you guys are ready, I'm gonna kick it off.
Yep.
Do I get a thumbs up from everybody as being ready? And for this first round, I'm gonna go Jason, Chalky, Meeker. Now, there are going to be 9 answers to this, so it is divisible by 3, so everybody will have an equal opportunity. Obviously, the first person has a bigger palette to go off of. Again, I did not write these questions, so if you're ready, let's play Broad Street Hustle Trivia. All right, Jason, you're going to kick us off.
Which sport is this?
Major League Baseball.
Okay.
Since 2000, there are 9 total pitchers with 200+ wins. Name those pitchers.
Roger Clemens.
Incorrect.
Since 2000 or?
That's what it's.
All right.
So my assumption is this question is pitchers that have won 200 games in the 2000s, not that were active.
All right. I misunderstood, but I guess I'm out.
You're out, unfortunately.
I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, it's not written that way.
Yeah, you're at the disadvantage because of who wrote it and who read it. So sorry.
Yeah, that's kind
apologies. Anyway,
sucky.
as second,
Are we officially kicking him out of this? Is this?
Yeah, no, he's out.
Whatever. I guess I'm out. I mean,
you got to ask your questions ahead of time.
What were you?
Before we no. Let's. I have an answer, so I don't know. Like I'm trying to stall, but if you don't ask a question to get clarification, you got to do that at the start. You can't throw out a name.
All right.
You can't throw out a name and then be told no and be like, oh, I didn't. So not that not that he was trying to cheat. It was a Meeker thing. That would be, I believe it, but Anyway, so Justin Verlander.
Yeah. Meeker.
Max Scherzer.
That would be a no.
Yeah, that's wrong.
So this Chalky keeps going to accumulate.
Yeah,
right?
Chalky
Yeah.
keeps going.
All right, Clayton Kershaw.
Yes.
Scherzer doesn't have 200 wins.
No. I know an answer. Sucks.
When they get time called.
I know a couple now. Came to mind.
You're Chalky. You got
White House.
5.
That's wrong, but
That's wrong. All right. So me,
Wainwright.
Chalky. So Wainwright is one of them. Yeah.
Right.
That would have been my
Anything
answer.
else? Anything else?
I mean, I just stopped after but Wainwright was going to be my answer.
So you got
Randy
CC Sabathia.
No, Randy Johnson does not, I don't think.
in the
You got-
2000s.
You got Zach Greinke.
Oh,
You got what's it? Mark Bueller, whatever.
early.
Early?
Burley. You got the fat guy Cologne. Ain't that fat guy?
oh man.
Bartolo Colon?
Hudson. John Lester. So that
These
makes
guys.
These guys had 200 wins in
I can.
Hold on, I
It's
gotta hit pause and like baseball reference some of these guys. Real.
That's a lot of wins.
Pitchers with 200+ wins in 2000.
Yeah,
who's the one we're most skeptical of? Burley. When we start with him.
Daniel Hudson. I mean,
No, well,
Tim Hudson.
Tim.
might.
I meant Tim Hudson.
Burley, he had 214 wins in his career, and he debuted in 2000, so that would be accurate.
Okay.
Wow.
Tim Hudson, we'll spot check him.
He might have that.
Hudson has 222 total. He debuted in 99, so 11 wins that year, so yeah. And let's look at Max Scherzer just to see. Because that probably would have been my second guess, or third at the very last.
I knew he doesn't.
Um,
Guys don't win games that are in later.
Scherzer has. Wait, hold on. Yeah, Scherzer's right. Scherzer was a correct answer.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you. There's no.
Scherzer has 215, and
Yeah,
he debuted in 2008.
Okay.
Does
All
that
right, so
include playoffs?
give Meeker a point.
I know, but we're
But-
going to sit here and do this for every question. We're going to fact check every question.
Well, it could be problematic. That does not include postseason, I don't think. No, I think this is regular season.
So Meeker gets a point, but I mean, it sucks because I don't know if you would have known any other answers, but
Wainwright, I would have had. I didn't know about a couple of these other guys you just named. I wouldn't have. Mark Burley, I don't think I would have gotten him. Or Hudson, even. I wouldn't have thought he had 200 wins, but I guess he did. So. All right, we'll just chalk it up to 1 point and move on. I'll take the hit on that.
Moving on.
Let's move on.
We're moving on.
So, just to take a little pause. This is kind of how I expected to go. Now, I didn't go like first question, but I did expect to go. We might have to have Walt on to defend himself if he fixes his technology.
So we had an unclear interpretation of the question and a correct answer that was deemed incorrect. So we're batting 1,000, I think, so far.
yes.
But pictures, spelling was good, so that's something.
He spelled Scherzer? Well, maybe that's the reason why.
That's why I lied. He probably
Who's like, nobody's going to guess.
So, all right. So now we're going to move to round 2. Right now, Chalky has a 2-1-0. Jason, obviously 0. Chalky, you will start on this one. We're moving to the NHL. Now, let me read this first. Okay. Again, I'm going to read it how it's read. Since 1980, or most regular season wins by a Flyers goalie since 1980. We have 7 answers to this one. So this is one where somebody could lose out because of divisible by 3. So most regular season wins by a Flyers goalie since 1980.
I would like, there's no way we know the answer. Clarification if that includes calendar year 80 or the season that starts 80-81, but nonetheless. Hextall.
Okay, that's correct.
My next?
Meeker. Yeah, just Wolf Rollins.
Pete Peters.
That is correct.
Mason.
That is correct.
Snow. Garth Snow.
No?
Garth Snow.
Oh, Snow. No, you're out. Meeker.
I'll say Pelly Lindbergh.
That is correct. Jason.
Carter Hart.
That is correct. Meeker. We got 2 left on the board.
Brizgalov?
Incorrect. Jason, 2 left.
Bob Froese.
That is correct. 1 more.
I'll say Chechmanek.
That is correct.
That's Jason's wheelhouse. We
I,
give
I would say of the four sports, there's one sport where one of us has a very significant advantage, and so that was it on display. But it's
Right.
hey,
So
rules are rules.
no need to go over the answers there. I mean, I will.
So what did I
quickly-
get? I got what, 4?
We'll go through it. So Ron Hextall, Mason, that was a good pull. I forgot he even existed. Carter Hart, Rowan Chickmonick, Rob Froese, Pelly Lindbergh, and Pete Peters. After 2 rounds, we now have a new leader. Jason has 4. Oh, I gotta add. Oh my God. 4. Chalky has 3, and Meager has 3. So we're gonna move to. Let me cross. I like this hosting thing. We're gonna move to round 3. Matt, round 3 has 5 answers. Another divisible by 3 was a tough concept. 5 answers. We're gonna move to Meeker as the one. So Chalky gets the disadvantage on this one. But we will move to Meeker. 5 answers. NFL is our category. And I'll read it how it's written. Eagles road playoff win since 1980. There's been 5 Eagles road playoff wins since 1980. What are the 5?
all road playoff.
So wait,
wins.
let me. Are we? I mean, he has year and the opponent. Is that what we're looking for, or are we just looking for an opponent?
I'm not going to be able to tell you the year.
I
Yeah,
think the
I would
opponent.
say just the opponent.
I agree. Okay, agreed. So
Road
Eagles have
playoff.
5 road playoff wins since 1980. Meeker, you're up.
I believe they beat the Vikings on the road.
That is correct. That would be Jason.
Saints.
That is correct. A little really
Yeah, that's
relative
the
bias here.
That's the one I had loaded up. New York Football Giants, 2008. If you want the year.
That is correct. No extra points for kissing up. Meeker, we got 2 left.
Did they beat the
I'm gonna need an answer.
Packers?
And Packers are incorrect. Jason,
Bears.
that is correct.
Yeah, they beat the Bears. Yeah,
Which year?
And-
They beat the Bears twice.
no.
They beat the Bears in
Wait, Snow.
they beat the Bears in 2001 and 2018.
Chalky, I'm gonna
on
need
the
you
double doink.
not to talk to other contestants, and I'm gonna need an answer.
I'm saying are the Bears on there twice because
Well,
they
is
beat them
that your
twice?
answer?
I'm asking if
I
they're on
need
there
an
twice.
answer.
No, Bears.
That is correct. How
All right,
hard
so-
is it?
Well, I mean, the answer where I said they beat them twice.
All right,
You
so
didn't give me
So
an
that's your other answer is the Bears again?
Yeah, Bears. So it was 92 was the Saints. 01 was the Bears. 08 was the Vikings. 08 was the Giants. Remember they won twice. And 18 was the Bears, which was the double doink, right?
I remember the Bears game where Douglas knocked out Jim Miller.
Yeah.
That would have been 2000.
That
That
was
is
been
just no-
01.
That was
No, right?
2001. Yeah.
All right. So good job, fellas. Let's go. Let's add these up.
654.
Okay, so after round 3, we have Jason still leading with 6. We have Chalky not far behind with 5. And Meeker not far behind Chalky with 4. So we have a pretty good competition here. We are going to go to round 4, which will bring us back to Jason as our first contestants. Now, based on it, it will be 2 Major League Baseball categories in a row, so be prepared. This is a Major League Baseball category. Let me review it. Okay, so there's the 8 possible answers. Divisible by 3, still can't get that. 1,500 plus hits in the AL in the 1990s. That's all that's written. Now, you guys can work this question out before we set an answer. I'm assuming in the 90s, there's 8 guys that have 1,500 plus hits.
Just in the 90s. Just in the
And just in the AL?
Just in the AL, that is correct.
Just in the AL. Wow.
Okay, I'm going to say who the contestant is. I'm going to need an answer within 15 seconds. Jason, you're on the clock.
Paul Molitor.
That is correct. Chalky.
Frank Thomas.
That is correct. Meeker.
Rafael Palmeiro.
Rafael Palmeiro. That is Jason. What was your first answer? I'm sorry.
Paul Molitor.
Yeah, okay. Mika, you're correct. I had that backwards. Jason.
Okay. I'm gonna say in the 90s. 1590. This probably isn't right, but Puckett.
That is incorrect. Chalky.
Griffey.
That's correct. Meeker.
I could think of guys, but they wouldn't have been on both leagues. That's where I'm getting stuck.
Meeker, I'm going to give you a 5-second warning.
Alomar.
That is correct. Which one?
Roberto Alomar.
That is correct. Chalky.
91. What about Pudge? Rodriguez.
That is incorrect.
No.
Meeker, you have 3 remaining. You can take the lead.
Chuck Knobloch.
That is correct. You got 2 left.
Edgar Martinez.
That is incorrect.
Juan Gonzalez.
No, I think you guys
No.
overthink this.
Well,
Just
my original one was going to be Ripken. I changed it.
Cal Ripken.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cal Rip.
Yep. And Albert Bell.
Yeah.
Even though Bell crossed my mind, but I didn't think he'd fit in that many early. But yeah, okay. That's good.
Okay. So after
we're
4
tied.
rounds,
I think we're tied.
we're at the halfway point. Jason, I can do the math, please. Let's go ahead. Do the math.
Just
We're at
helping.
the halfway point. We have a 3-way tie at 7. Meeker with a impressive 3 spot in the 3rd round. Jason still has the most in 1 round with 4, which was round 2. And also the record for least in a round, which was round 1, 0. So after 4, we're at a 7-7-7 tie. So we're on to round 5. As I said, it is Major League Baseball again. Why is that happening? So this is divisible by 6. No, for some reason, I do have Jason listed as first again. So
No, it should be chalky, right?
it should be chalky. Yeah, it should be chalky. So I'm going to switch that to chalky. I don't know why that. Because this is a 6-1. But, okay, that actually. No, chalky's. I got chalky at 6. Oh, you know why? Because I had to do with the divisibility of 9 to make sure everybody went first on a certain time. So I have to stick with you, Jason.
All right.
It's not going to cheat anybody out of points. It's just
No.
the way who goes first.
I actually don't like going first.
No, but I'm going to end up with like Flyers with 125 penalty minutes exactly from the years 85 to 92, and Jason's going to have all 7 of them. Like, I got to start with. But go ahead.
So I mean, I just randomly did it to make sure that the ones that aren't divisible by 3 has everybody taking a turn going first, and last, of course. All right. So we'll as a group, we'll read the question and come with.
Yeah, that's all. Make sure we understand the question.
What the question is asking. Okay. Most home runs at Veterans Stadium by a Philly. There's 5. And then most by opponent, there's 1. Which gives you a total of 6. Kind of strange. So you have the most home runs by a Philly at Veterans Stadium. So 5 Phillies. the top 5 Phillies of home runs, and then whoever the most is by an opponent, where there's one. So there's 6 possible answers. You don't have to name the opponent last or anything. So if you know the opponent first, you go with the opponent first. So 6 total answers, 5 Phillies, top 5, and then 1 opponent. Home runs at Veterans Stadium. Jason, you're first.
Oh, Mike Schmidt.
That is correct. That was a layup. Chalky.
Craig Lazinski.
Yes, correct. Meeker.
Took my answer. Most home runs at Veterans Stadium by a Philly.
By a Philly, you got 3 Phillies left, and you do have the 1 opponent left.
When you say the other guy, is it just the guy that has the most home runs for an opposing player at the vet?
That would be how I
Yeah.
interpret it. That is correct. How else would you interpret that? Just out of curiosity for myself.
I mean, or is he top 6 that have hit home runs in Veterans Stadium?
This is
No,
not a
it's-
difficult
it's-
question. I think the time is up.
No.
We got to move
Come on,
on.
Meeker.
Most by an opponent.
We got
So,
commercial
who-
sponsors that got
What
it in.
opponent has the most home runs at Veterans Stadium, and who are the top 5 Phillies that have home runs at Veterans Stadium? Doesn't change the answer.
I'm going to say the guy that hit the most home runs at Veterans Stadium is Gary Carter.
I think that would have been my answer. But
That
he's
is
wrong,
incorrect.
right?
Yes.
At
he's
one
correct.
point he was, though. At one point he did lead at Veterans Stadium.
Jason, you're on the clock here.
Okay. This is tough. I'm gonna say Bobby Abreu.
That is correct. Chalky.
Von Hayes.
That is correct.
Really? Is that every Philly?
Veterans Stadium. I don't know what to tell you. No, you have 1 more Philly, and
One
you have
more.
the opponent. So that there's a chance for each either getting 1 more point, or somebody could get 2 points.
Yeah.
Jason.
This is probably not right, but Dick Allen.
That is incorrect. Chalky.
Yeah.
Chance to steal.
I'm trying to think who was in the East all those years.
I would hope you're trying to think. Helps.
Yeah. I want to say Bonds.
Bonds is the opponent.
Okay.
That is
Wow.
correct.
Good guess.
I was
Is Roland the other Philly?
well.
You have 1 more Philly.
I
left.
still have the guess.
Why did you say that?
My guess, honest to God, was going to
I
be
didn't know it was
Scott Rowland. So that's what it is. But
It is Scott Rowland.
So Meeker gave up an answer. Thanks, Meeker.
well, he said the answer that I
Well,
had.
it's all I-
next,
I
but,
mean-
Had the answer anyways. I believe him.
it was between. So I had it between Bonds.
I'm gonna have to fact check Bonds and
Well,
Gary
so
Carter.
I had it between Bonds and Andre Dawson because Dawson was always in the East.
Yeah, I was gonna
so
say
I was thinking of
Dawson
him
maybe
too.
too.
But
I
yeah.
wouldn't have got Bonds. And Roland I should have got.
I almost went
All
wrong instead
right.
of Hayes.
So after 5 rounds, with an assist from Meeker, Chalky has the lead at 11. Jason is in second with 9. That would be we have 3 rounds left, so they would be advancing to the championship right now. But Meeker is sitting at 7, so not far behind. Not far behind. 11 Chalky, 9 Jason, 7 Meeker. All right, we'll move to round 6, which will give Chalky the first crack at it. We're moving to.
How long?
Well, I'm sorry.
I haven't gone first in like forever, so I don't know how you're
You've
figuring this out.
gone
but-
first more recently than I have. So
Yeah, and you missed the whole conversation we had when we said Jason went first the last time.
he's got a specific order of the number of answers possible. So that
Zach,
but
tell you, well, at the end, if you lose by 1, we'll
but wait, on the last question, the other one top 6 or top visiting player? What was that? I wasn't sure where that. And
most home runs by opponent. Is he top 5? All right, so we're moving to the NHL.
Throwing a flag on this whole thing.
So in the 90s, so I'm guessing from 1990 through 1999, there's been 9 Conn Smythe winners. Does that sound right in the 90s? there's been non-Conn Smythe winners in the 90s. Chalky, you get to go first. Name those 9. Name one of the 9 Conn Smythe winners in 1990s.
Mario Lemieux.
That is correct. Meeker, you're up.
Gretzky.
No.
That is incorrect. Jason,
Mike Richter.
that is incorrect.
All right. So the Ranger you're thinking of is Brian Leach.
That is correct.
Patrick Waugh.
That is correct.
Yeah. That was
Was neither in 90. Did Messier win in 90?
He is not correct. All right. So
The Kings didn't win the Stanley Cup. That's right.
let's go through. So Ranford,
Ranford won in 90. Okay.
Mario Lemieux, Patrick Waugh, Claude Lemieux.
The Devil.
I'm assuming the Lemieux was Mario. Joe Sakic, Mike Vernon, Stevie Yzerman, and Joe Nieuwendyk.
Nieuwendyk I wouldn't have got.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have 2 rounds left. Jason did not get any advantage over Meeker on that one where he had his chance. Chalky did pull more ahead and looks like he may be cruising into the championship round with 14. Jason's sitting at 9. Meeker still at 7. As we go to round 7, and look who's first. It's Meeker. So let's read the question. We'll dissect the question and make sure we all understand it, and then we'll give our answers. Most postseason touchdowns by an Eagle since 1978. Everybody understand the question? So most postseason touchdowns by an Eagle since the start of the 1978 season. We have 6 possible answers. Meeker, when you're ready, you are on the clock.
Brian Westbrook.
That is correct.
I'm up.
Yes, I'm sorry, Jason, you are up.
I'll say Deuce Staley.
That is correct. Chalky.
Freddie Mitchell.
That is, it's not on my list, and I think that's a really bad guess. Meeker, you are up.
Ricky Waters.
It's up there with Chalky's
Yeah,
guess.
that's bad.
You're incorrect. Jason, the chance to pull ahead as we move to the final round.
Yeah.
You have 4 possible answers.
Okay. 1980. I will say T.O.
That is incorrect.
I don't know.
Never had one.
Barnett.
Now, you guys overthink this one a little bit. So, Howard Carmichael, Wilbert Montgomery, Donovan McNabb,
I was
And
going to
Jalen
say
Hurts.
quarterback.
and Jalen Hurts.
Hurts, yeah.
Hurts.
Yeah.
Hurts. Yeah.
So Mitchell had the 2 against the Vikings that one game. I thought maybe he had a third one. That's where my guess came from.
You got to clarify.
How many years did Ricky Waters play a playoff game? Did he not play that many? Is that the reason?
I don't
why
think any.
3.
Yeah, I think
They were never playoffs when Ricky Waters was there.
They had 3 games when he was on the team. Beat Detroit, lost to Dallas, lost to San Francisco.
Okay.
Okay, so final round. There's 6 possible answers on this question. We're NBA, so our first NBA question, as we did save an NBA question for the finals. Is that right here? And pulling. Yeah, that is right. So we're NBA. I'm sorry. There's 7. So this one has 7 possible answers, but we're going to stop at 6. So if 6 get answered, the round is over because we did divisibility. So we don't have any, protest. We're gonna let Meeker go first again, which now evens it out. Chalky only gets cheated by not going first, but he does have a big lead, so he understands. So 7 possible answers. We will stop at 6. Chalky is 14. Jason's at 10. Meeker's at 8. Meeker, you'll have to at least tie Jason to get into the playoff to get into the championship. Otherwise, our championship will be set. So this is NBA. 7 possible answers. We'll read the question. We'll make sure we understand it. And then Meeker, you'll be on the clock. Sixers 7 first-round picks since of the 1990s, Sixers 7 first-round picks. So in the 90s, they had 7 first-round picks. Who are the 7 players that were drafted in the first round for the Philadelphia 76ers in the 1990s? Meeker, you're on the clock.
AI.
That is correct. Jason, you're on the clock.
Stackhouse.
That is correct. Chalky.
Clarence Weatherspoon.
That is correct. He has spoon written. That is correct. Meeker.
Uh, 90s. Christian Velp?
Incorrect. Can I ask you, Tommy? Incorrect.
So we need guys that are actually a real name. When you just make a name up.
Nah, he was a real name. He was just in the 80s.
Yeah. No, he's
Was
not
that
there.
Or the 90s?
Jason, you're on the clock.
Larry Hughes.
That is correct. Chalky.
Oh, wow. Was he 99? I thought he was. Sean Bradley.
That is correct.
Sharon Wright.
That is correct. Chalky.
How many we got left?
Looks like 1, 2, 3. Only 2 more. Well, you guys are in the championship, so keep.
Yeah. Shoot, Spoon.
Oh wait, no. Looks like 2. I'm sorry, 2 left.
So there could only be one more answer, really.
Yeah, it's for the purpose, but the standings can change.
Keith Van Horn.
Yeah, that's correct. Anybody want to take crack at the last one?
I knew Van Horn. I don't believe I know the last. No, I don't know the last one.
Dallin Bear?
Nah, it's really hard.
I don't. I'm thinking it was early 90s, so I don't know. I don't think I know it.
Was it Alfonso Ford? No.
First name is initial.
I don't know.
BJ Tyler.
BJ Tyler. Oh, jeez. That was 90
from Texas. I think.
That was 93 or 94. I think they must have had 2 picks that year.
Okay, let's just see what the Phillies are doing. They're winning 4-2. All right,
4-2.
So as you know, the final standings. Chalky did finish with 17 points through 8 rounds. Jason finished with 13 points through 8 rounds, and Meeker with 9 points. So our championship is set at Jason and Chalky, which we will begin momentarily after you hear about the sponsor of Broad Street. Broad Street Hustles trivia. It's Giovina's Pizza.
Giovanina? Giovanina?
Giovannina's Pizza. You tried the rest. Now try the best. Opening a second location coming to you shortly. All right. Did you guys want to decompress about what transpired here in the first 8 rounds?
I'm a little disappointed in myself, especially with the hockey one. And then I kind of think I got screwed with the baseball one in the beginning, but whatever.
So did I. I had
No, Meeker actually gave a correct answer and he got
screwed too. He did.
Yeah,
and
we're gonna have to
before those guys, I might have been able to, but
I don't think so. Meeker, you finished 4 points behind me. I mean, I think
you wouldn't even had like a possibility to get.
I'm also going to say that I don't know as much about Eagle history as these guys do. So they're certainly going to
Well,
we're off when it comes to that.
I mean, round 4 was your strongest round. That was the AL hitters. Round 5 was most home runs at Veterans Stadium. You had none. So, and you're not going to Phillies yet. Well, nah, I mean, I will say I would have got crossed myself. But yeah, I mean, you think you know stuff, and then when like, all right, and you got to figure it out. It's hard.
I mean, it's a lot of, it's 40 years of
Yeah.
information. I mean, it's.
I mean, like,
That
The questions were good, though. I'll give Will credit. The questions were good.
No,
I mean, he might have screwed up.
with
the
the answers, but you think about when you take a block a decade of a player's career that might have been 20 years. Oh, did they have 200 wins in this 10-year period of their career? That's tough because you're taking a subset, not
That's a
lifetime
very
achievement.
tough question.
So yeah,
That is very tough. I probably only would have got Wainwright.
Yeah, I mean, it says 200 wins since 2000. So that's a tough one to interpret as well. I mean,
And
even
I
if we
believe,
talk-
if I remember correctly, I believe Wainwright only had 200 wins. I think he ended with 200 wins. I could be
Exactly.
wrong on that,
Maybe.
but
Okay, so we will the championship round is let's see what we got. We have an NFL and we have an NBA. Perfect. We have 10 answers to each of the questions. Perfect. And
Yep.
we'll take Chalky as the person who won the round. You get to choose, would you like to go first this round, or would you like to go first in the second round? And you can also choose the starting category. You have NFL, you have NBA.
I'll go second here, and we could start with NFL.
Okay, so we will start. So Jason will kick us off in the championship round. It is going to be, what did you say, NFL? What are we starting with?
NFL.
We're starting with NFL. Same format, of course. If we are tied after, it's cumulative. If we are tied after 2, we'll have a back and forth playoff. Key to this is if one person does get knocked out, that person who keeps going is good chance to, kind of build a lead. We'll read the question. Both opponents will agree that they understand the question, and then we will start the clock. Jason will be going first for NFL. So I have, in the last 10 years, from 2014 to 2023.
it's already bad news for me, but go ahead.
That is 10 years. There's I'm assuming this means who led the league in yards from scrimmage. It says yards from scrimmage the last 10 years, 2014 to 2023. Just going through the list, it looks like that's what he means by who led the league. No, obviously don't need the year, but who led the league.
Oh, so not in total. So per year, by year, we're talking.
Be right on that one. It says yards from scrimmage last 10 years. So maybe it's in total. There's 10 separate answers. Has there been a year where a guy led the league twice?
It's certainly plausible. I don't know off the top of my head without looking it up if anybody did, but
If you guys want to talk about the Caleb Martin signing while I do a quick check, feel free to kind of fill in some space.
sure.
Or Meeker, you didn't give your kind of opinion on the Sixers, so feel free. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, Martin turned down more money with the Heat, it sounds like. Highsmith came in a lot cheaper, was staying with the Heat, but we talked about him last week. He's a very good fit. And just hopefully he can live up to his Heat potential on another team. We've seen that happen too much, but
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Good fit.
I mean, he had that one good playoff run, but I mean, he's a role player. I mean, plays good defense.
I mean,
Shooting percentage.
we've been looking for a Celtic killer since Andrew Toney, so maybe he's finally going to step into that role. So
He's a very good player. I mean, let's he's a very good player. He's clutch. He could shoot. He could defend. He's going to fit right into Nurse's system. Nurse, a lot of times Nurse doesn't care about positions. So we could discuss this next week more, but
All right, so I
think we're ready.
did just doing a quick Google search. I found so it does seem like Jason, you're correct, and it's the yards from scrimmage in total over the last 10 years, from 2014 to 2023, yards from scrimmage. Make sense?
yeah.
There's 10. There's 10 guys. So basically, the top 10 would be the list of players' yards from scrimmage in the last 10 years. Jason, Chalky gave you first tee, so you are going to kick us off. Jason, you are on the clock.
McCaffrey.
That is correct. Chalky.
Couple guys I have, I think, might be dead wrong already. DeAndre Hopkins.
That's correct. Jason.
Hill.
He has it written as Tyreek, but I'm assuming that means Tyreek Hill, so you are correct. Chalky.
Antonio Brown.
That is incorrect. Jason, a chance to pad a lead.
Not sure on this one, but Ezekiel Elliott.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, keep going.
Yep. How about that there Austin Eckler?
Is incorrect. That is incorrect. After we'll
Henry.
give the answers after the first
Henry,
round of the
Henry.
championship. It's 3 for Jason, 1 for me for Chalky. Meeker, did you want to give a crack at any of these?
Derrick Henry's got to be on that list.
Yeah,
Any
that's
is
right.
correct.
What about Fitzgerald?
Incorrect.
Oh, I got him wrong too. Okay.
We got a receiver at Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, Evans.
Mike Evans.
Evans.
Yeah.
See, I want to say
Uh,
Calvin Johnson, but he was retired by 2016,
Nah, I don't think
so he wouldn't have made it.
A very popular podcast, and not as popular as Broad Street Hustle, but a popular
Kelce.
podcast. Travis Kelce.
Mhm.
One would say maybe the second most popular podcast here in Philadelphia. The next are 3 receivers. The last 3 are all receivers.
All receiver.
One guy played for the Eagles.
Jackson.
Okay. Deshaun Jackson. Not Deshaun Jackson.
AJ Brown.
No.
Oh, what's his name? Julio Jones.
Julio
Ah,
Jones,
yeah.
Yeah, good one.
Okay, we got. Let's see, I don't know the two, but next 2 are receivers. One, like I will say, one guy they got a lot of their yards on one team, and then they moved to another team, and they're still being successful.
Give us a conference, or did he switch
So,
conference?
both play in the AFC right now.
Both
Plus, there's a
AFC.
new one that I forgot about
What?
this offseason. I'm sorry.
Stephon Diggs.
Yep, Devon Diggs. And there's one more. He was the NFC, then moved to the AFC.
His receiver.
He's a receiver. He went from an all-time great quarterback to an all-time trash quarterback.
Oh, I know who it is. Green Bay's receiver. I can't.
Yeah, Parker. No.
No,
Oh, went to the Raiders. The guy on the Raiders.
Devontae, right? Devontae.
Devontae Adams.
Adams.
I had the wrong
Not
Devontae.
Parker.
Devontae.
Yeah, so he has Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, Ezekiel Elliott, Travis Kelce, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Christian McCaffrey, and Stephon Diggs. Okay, so after the first round of the championship, we have Jason with 3 points. We have Chalky with 1 point. A nice size lead for after one round. Could have made it larger.
Yeah.
Failed to do so. I do think Chalky is going to like this next
Uh-oh.
question. For some reason, this is kind of his wheelhouse. It is the NBA. He is going to go first. Okay, in 2003, the Philadelphia 76ers departed a coach named Larry Brown. They went separate ways with Larry Brown. They've had 10 coaches since 2003. Can you name the 10 coaches they've had since 2003 up until the present day coach? We have 10 names. Chalky, you're on the board. Do we understand the question, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. That's how they all should have been written. Chalky, if you want to start us off, since 2003, since Larry Brown we parted ways with Larry Brown, the Sixers have had 10 coaches. Who are those 10 coaches? You're on the clock.
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse is the layup correct answer.
Brett Brown.
Brett Brown is correct.
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers is correct.
Mo Cheeks.
Mo Cheeks is correct. I will say, Chalky, you might not even get a chance to come back.
Yeah,
because you guys
yeah.
now all these.
Doug Collins.
Collins is correct.
Tony DeLeo.
Yeah, so that one was a little bit in question because we were not sure if the interim tag was taken off, but when I researched it, I did find they have him listed as the head coach. So I'm assuming the interim tag was removed. That is correct. We have looks like 4 more to go. Chalky, you're gonna need this.
So interim is included? Or we don't know that for sure.
No, because DeLeo was listed as a coach.
Okay.
And
Eddie Jordan.
I would say no, just how I'm looking. I'm sorry.
Eddie Jordan.
Jordan is correct. That just quick pause. Jason does have a 1-shot lead with only 3 possible people left. So if he gets this right at the worst, he's a playoff.
Randy Ayers.
Yes, that is correct. Chalky, you'll have to clean sweep.
I might be out of answers.
Chalky, I will need to see your hands.
I'll show mine. How many out of answers?
Chris Ford.
That is correct.
Oh shoot,
Good one.
that is a good one.
Chalky, all right, Jason, you're up.
Yeah. Oh boy, if I get this, I win, right?
Get this, it's over.
Yeah. This is Brett Brown, right? I'm gonna have to. You're gonna have to buzz me. I don't know.
Okay, Jason, you're out of time.
I'm out. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to use my full 15 to try and talk it out because I can't think of his name, but I know who he is. He coached the Celtics. He came here in 2004 and they fired him. St. Joe's grad, Jim something, and I can't think of his last name. It's an Irish guy. I should know it.
Yeah, you're right. And I know.
Oh, I know it. Now that you said that.
I'm going to say
Chalky, I'm going to give you 5 more seconds.
Not that many Irish names, Chalky.
Jim McCaffrey.
O'Brien.
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 Is correct.
Yeah.
McCaffrey is wrong. That is crazy that you couldn't remember it.
Nah, I mean, I won by the slightest of margins because that was good, Chalky. That was a good.
Yeah.
I knew who it was. I couldn't think of it.
I would not be really prepared for a playoffs at that. I was praying you got
I know.
I mean, Chris Ford technically was interim because when they fired, I think Ayers or Jordan, he finished the year. I think it was when they fired Ayers.
Yeah, well, sometimes they labeled him as the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, but he only carried until they hired him.
So when I looked up DeLeo, he was listed as the head coach because Walt, when he emailed me, he asked that.
Yeah.
He said, just check this. So I checked it.
Well, I would have been done at that.
I'll tell you what, we got to give Walt credit, not because I won, but I mean, I thought those questions were tough and they were challenging and they were good.
Yeah, I mean, that first one, obviously, we had a little bit of a...
Yeah,
I don't think any of them were like... The hockey ones are always going to be tough because hockey, I don't know, hockey's tough. Like the Conn Smythe in the 90s.
Yeah,
Besides,
I didn't get it.
like I would have only gotten by naming like Gretzky, Lemieux, like saying stuff like that.
Now I got some of that because I looked it up like a week or towards the end of the Cup Finals when I made a bet. I looked up like who had won to see like who had won with more than one team was like a question I had heard. But like the Flyers,
Well, I'm glad it kind of that Sixers coach one was actually that was my favorite question. So I'm glad that we actually left that to the last one. I like that one a lot. The first round picks in the 90s I thought was a little tough to hit.
That was tough. It was challenging. It was there was almost every name we should have known, right? They were all like legitimate players.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Except
PJ
for
Tyler.
BJ
Tyler,
Tyler was
right.
the one that
yeah.
The Veterans Stadium one, the Trip Meeker. That's tough. I mean, that one goes back to the inception of Veterans Stadium too.
Can Walt write down the number of home runs Barry Bonds hit in the vet?
No. You know what?
It makes sense though. It makes sense.
You know who has it? Google. If you Google it,
I'm looking it up now.
You'll get the answer. They have all the answers. Surprisingly,
I think we should do one.
When he retired, he was the all-time leader for home runs in the vet.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Bond hit 7,000 home runs after.
Yeah,
I just thought like the vet
at one
was
time Gary Carter did lead. There was definitely a time that Gary Carter was.
When Bonds went on his tear, he was not.
I thought that was when when Citizens Bank Park was around. That's why I didn't think Bonds.
Well, he came up in what? He came up in 86, right? Was it like 86, 87? And he told 2003. Yeah. So, I mean, he still had another 4 or 5 years, but he played 15. All right. So, according to Larry Schenk, who would know because he's the Baron, milestone home runs. May 7th, 2006.
That wouldn't be
Bonds' home run, but it also came against Lieber. Bonds' 27 home runs at Veterans Stadium was the most for a visiting player.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. We should do this once a year, like on our dead week. Like, you know what I mean?
I think I like this format
I thought it was great.
So I did. On his odds too. He nailed them. 1, 2, 3. He hit the trifecta.
Now, of course, if you're a cumulative everything, it wouldn't have been even close. But that's how the rules go, and that's fine.
It would have been close. You won by like one.
Yeah, but you always have to do it.
You cut it off. You cut it off. No,
you have to do it.
I beat Meeker, so I feel fine. He was the one.
You need to have that.
That would have been embarrassing.
Beating Meeker's like taking 3 from the Yankee.
So So I once got into a.
So back to the baseball question. I might have got a couple more, but I probably wouldn't have made the championship.
You wouldn't have made the championship. You got screwed. I kind of got screwed on that question.
So here's what I'll say, just on a quick evaluation. There's a lot of times you guys didn't know the answer. I will say, Meeker, you did not do a good job of like thinking back to a logical, like not knowing the answer and say, like Chalky did the best with saying like, I don't know this answer, but I remember in this decade, this guy did this. You know what I'm saying? Where like you said, Gretzky in the 90s.
Yeah.
Really thinking like his career, where was the bulk of his career? You know what I'm saying? Where
I forgot they did not win they didn't win the Stanley Cup in the 90s. I know that they got the
King was a Cup. Right. Yeah.
They didn't win it. Right. So I thought it was an obvious answer that wasn't obvious because obviously they didn't win the Cup.
I felt like Chalky did a good job of like maybe he didn't know the answer, but he has an idea of this team did this or that. Although I thought Meeker, you did do well with the AL hits with that one.
Yeah,
like you said,
I wouldn't have known Knobloch.
Knobloch wouldn't have been. I wouldn't even have thought of him.
I thought it was a surprise. I wonder how many hits Edgar Martinez actually had in the 90s because it was constantly hitting 330 like every single year. I mean, a guy had to have a lot of hits. But whatever. I mean, if it's not on the list, it's not on the list. Surprising to me.
Well, that's not actually true. We've proven that maybe
it could be. I'm looking it up.
I mean, I can forward you. I can forward Chalky the questions. And
we'll do some spot checking. So Martinez only
I
had
mean,
to,
at the whole, it looks like they're right.
he only had 2,200 hits
yeah.
for his career to start with.
And maybe Wall can justify, can justify the 200 plus wins. Maybe there was something, I don't know. Did he get some wins in, it wasn't by conference, it wasn't by league. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He had, oh my God, he had 1,492.
in the
He didn't
90s.
have,
Yeah, but
that's not 1,500, Meeker.
right.
Guy.
And Matt
that's
don't-
Yeah, it's definitely a good guess. I mean, guy.
Not
well,
really. It was wrong.
It was a good wrong guess, but it
Yeah,
was
thanks,
still
man.
Did
Appreciate
that, if you remember the Harry and what's the old guy that
Richie.
Richie. That's a good guess, Richie. However,
Incorrect.
incorrect. If you remember. That was the famous line. Yeah, that was actually pretty fun.
So notoriously, so I got into a Twitter argument with a WIP host once on, I'm not going to give names, but about a decade ago, they ran a Philly sports trivia contest or whatever. And it was a similar format, but the people were, they got the final round. It was like going back and forth. So let me ask Jason this, because the answer, as far as I'm concerned, is still the same. Who was the last Flyer to win the scoring title in the NHL?
Last Flyer to win a scoring title in NHL. Wow. Lindros, I believe.
Okay. That's what they said was the correct answer. I got into an argument because Lindros tied for the lead in
With
points.
Jamnov, right? With
But
Jamnov.
Yager won the Art Ross Trophy because he had more goals, and that was the tiebreaker. So my argument was a Flyer has never led the league in points because the award goes to whoever leads the league in points. And he blocked me on Twitter. But
Was it Jalowitz? Probably Jalowitz, right?
Probably Jalowitz. Or what is this WIP host temporarily been suspended for
No, he won't
No.
know anything about that. don't know anything.
No, he wouldn't be. He wouldn't be part of. That's a moron thing, to have a trivia contest. Who cares about that?
Yeah,
Jalowitz is a good guy too.
I just wanted to.
No. This guy was a more regular host that may be ending his career fairly soon. But
that sounds like somebody would block you. At. I know exactly what you're talking. Okay, well, we're still on air, so let's end this. It's episode 115 of Broad Street Hustle. Hopefully, it was enjoyable. I do think the YouTube viewers might get more out of it, getting to see the expressions and seeing the people think, opposed to the audio folks. But definitely, please, let us know what you thought. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. Next week we got the British Open. Should have our special guest Kevin on. For that, we'll probably that'll probably be a Tuesday or Wednesday show, of course, as Thursday is the start the British Open or the Open, whatever you want to call it. Episode 115, Broad Street Hustle. Have a great night.